Okay, Marian, you're muted. Take yourself off of mute.
Great. That would be a good thing, huh?
Okay. You can hear me well?
Yes. I'm going to clear up my board a little bit here. Make sure
Okay. I think I have you on as the co-host too.
It doesn't say that yet. It doesn't say that on my screen.
Okay, let me check. And okay, I'm going to make you the co-host. Here we go. Okay. Great. Michelle's here. Welcome, Michelle. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi.
We're just trying to get all the technical stuff in line here. I'm going live on Facebook. And so
Hi, Carrie.
there's a little bit of a delay when we go on Facebook. So just checking in with that to make sure we're actually live. Oh, yes, I see us on Facebook. Okay, because I'm going to be monitoring the chat room on Facebook. So that's helpful. Okay, good. All right, we're just going to hang out for a few minutes, and as more people come on, looks like Carrie's on. Good morning. Hello, good afternoon, Carrie. Glad you're here. And we had quite a number of people sign up today, so I'm not sure all of them can be here, but those of you who signed in and couldn't be here will be putting it up on the YouTube channel and sending links out through an email as well. So if everybody can mute, I'll mute.
Carrie, did I take a class from you on Tai Chi? It was an ethics class.
On Qigong, yes.
Qigong, that's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually reteaching that this Friday, actually. So great. Wonderful to see you again. Awesome. That's great. Where are you located, Michelle?
Angela,
Oh,
can I talk, Angela? You muted
Yeah,
me.
sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm in Cannon Beach,
oh, wonderful.
just
Wonderful.
right down the road from Angela.
Angela, yeah, you have
yeah.
quite a community there.
I'm going to mute myself now. Thanks.
Okay.
It's good to see you.
Good. It's good to see you too.
Okay. All right, so we'll get started. It is 4:02. So welcome everyone who is here, who might be listening, who might be here in spirit, so to speak, by watching the recording later on. Wow, I've been talking about this subject all week, last week, prior to this wonderful day coming up. And this is a collaboration between Marian and I. I'll tell you a little bit about how we met, and then I'll share a little bit about her background before we get started. We both teach at the Oregon School of Massage, even though we had never met. A lot of us instructors have never met each other, but because we're doing all this new online learning in this new way during COVID, they offered us a class to learn a little bit more about how to do online talks and programs and teaching. And, you know, body work is really hard to teach online. So we had a big learning curve to do. And we each had to do a presentation. And when Marian started her presentation, I was just blown away. And I'm like, I need to know more. I need my menopause success tribe of wise women to learn more about this. And I'm just totally fascinated with the whole subject that she is talking about today. So I'm really excited about this. And everybody's like, okay, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do here? So we'll get into the meat of all this. Our presentation is going to focus on getting the shame out of pain. And Marian is a licensed massage therapist and a clinical hypnotist with a master's degree in psychology and health education. She also successfully completed a graduate research fellowship with the National Institutes of Health in Complementary and Alternative Medicine, which sounds, I want to know more about that too. Marian enjoys working with adults who have complex medical profiles, including people recovering from injuries and people who are living with chronic pain. And this includes, fibromyalgia, all kinds of joint problems and different things, PMS, digestive discomfort, insomnia, and anxiety. So having lived with medically unexplained pain for over 10 years, she knows how hurt feels from the inside. And don't we teach what we know, really? Marian helps people with cancer, MS, PD, and other intraceable conditions to optimal function and mobilize their inner resources that were previously untapped. Wow. She's worked as a massage therapist since 1992, a clinical hypnotist since 1993, and a health educator since 1977. She is the author of a book and another book in progress, which she'll probably tell us about. And at the end of this presentation today, we'll be telling you how you can get in touch with Marian and be introduced maybe to some other of her programs. So I'm going to be monitoring the chat box here and also the live stream Facebook comments too, so we can address those at the end. And then as we wrap up, I'll kind of weave in some of my menopause success, mastery, and transformation points into this. So I like to keep in mind, there's these mechanisms that get in the way of our transformation, and shame happens to be one of them. There's denial, shame, guilt, regret, and resentment. So I just feel like this wraps in really well with the message that I also share with my audience. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marian. Welcome, Marian. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Angela. It's so nice to talk with all of you. Like Angela said, I really got into this subject because I needed it. As she said, I've had unexplained pain for 10 years, but that really doesn't let you know the depths of, how much it touched me. At a certain point, if you go the regular medical route, because other things aren't helping you, at one point I was on 5 different medications for pain and pretty much spending my days lying on the couch, looking up at the leaves move. That was my only solace. And feeling pretty guilty and shamed that I'm a massage therapist for all these years and a health educator, and I couldn't heal my pain. I have to say, learning about my own vulnerabilities and speaking my shame, being vulnerable enough to speak what the shame is, not just to cry about it, but to build what we call shame resilience, is one of the things that really helped me heal, along with some other things that I do now, specifically the Tai Chi Qigong. I really accredit to getting off all those medications, including methadone. It's pretty darn hard to get off methadone. So it's one of the things I'm most proud of, second only to my son. That's my most proud accomplishment in my life. So I'm very happy to share a little bit of that with you today. I'm wondering with you, I didn't get it together to make a poll question to be all fancy, but let me just put it out there. How many of you have ever had pain that didn't go away, or at least didn't go away as fast as you wanted it to go? You can just raise your hands. Yeah. And how many of you have felt some shame over that pain, over having that pain? Even though, it's not really your fault, but it's like, Okay, so anyway, this presentation is for you. Anybody want to say anything more about that before I actually launch into the PowerPoint that I have for you and go through what I've put together? Okay, well, here goes. Start screen share. Hopefully that's going to work. So bear with me. Here we go. And I need to share sound. And here we go. Okay, oops, that's the last page. Thank you for being here. Whew. Here we go, getting shame out of pain. Can you all see that? You have to speak because I can't hear you when I screen share.
Yes, I think it's up for everyone.
Okay, great. Okay, and that's me. I've been licensed a long time, you can see, because I have a low number. And as Angela said, I have a master's degree in psychology and another one in health education. So the body and the mind have always been important to me, even before my massage career. Okay, so here's a quote to start. It is not only possible, but natural for each of us to love our bodies, to find ourselves beautiful. No matter how different, disabled, old, or battle-scarred we may be. And that's, I don't know really how to say her name, but Harriet Lerner. So I really feel that. And once we get shame out of the way, that's one of the obstacles to finding ourselves beautiful and to seeing the beauty in the difference, disabledness, old, the wisdom of being older and battle scarred we may be. And then this quote here, reality is always kinder than the story we tell about it, from Byron Katie. She's somebody I use her processes quite a bit in my work with shame for myself and others. What is pain? So here's a definition I found. Pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage or described in terms of such damage. So it's not just sensory, it's also there is an emotional component to it. The other part is pain is associated with the perception of danger. It may not be actual tissue damage. So you could have healed something a long time ago, and even though the tissue has been resolved, there is some residual pain in your body. Then what is shame? Okay, so shame is an emotion. It's like fear or grief, but it's also a special emotion. It's felt in relation to other people. It's a social emotion, like shyness. You have to have somebody else there to work off of to feel shame. You can't really feel shame without a tribe, but not a good tribe like you have with your menopausal tribe. But you can't feel that except in relation to other people, or guilt or pride. It's about comparing yourself to others. And in this case, feeling that you fall short. Some people actually theorize that it was an adaptive emotion to help you stop doing things that are not helpful for your tribe. But it's long past that when the shame persists these days. Brene Brown, who is a pioneer in the field of shame and shame resilience and vulnerability. You may have seen some of her TED Talks. They're kind of amazing. She says that shame is an intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. So I'm going to stop share for just a moment to see if anybody has any comments thus far. Has anybody here heard of Brene Brown? Or
Yeah.
Great, yeah. And I just saw she's on Netflix. She's got a Courage, I don't know, it's called Courage to something. I just started looking at it before this talk we're having here. And then how many people have heard of Byron Katie work, process work? And that also has been immensely helpful to me. She inquires into your stressful thoughts. Well, what could be more stressful thought than a thought that you should be ashamed of what's you're experiencing? So it can be very, very helpful when applied to shame.
I think that there's for menopausal women, some of that shame, that body shame, starts from the very first time we have our period, and we're seen as different, or we see ourselves as different, and we don't know how to explain that. And then that can lead to more sexual shame, and then that sexual, if there's sexual trauma, then that body shame. And I think that piles up layer by layer over the decades and can present very much so as pelvic pain.
Yes, that is such an astute perception, Angela. Shame is muddy. It's like a bunch of different things all glommed together. And to have the courage to sort that out, to see, oh, where is me behind this? Or what kinds of things might have brought this on? That requires a type of courage and vulnerability, two sides of the same thing, that I am so excited to see that you're working with in your group. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Any other comments or questions before I go on? Okay, I'm gonna share screen again. There we go. Okay, so how does pain impact shame? Well, in my case, this unrelenting, intractable pain, I couldn't find the reason for it. I'm on these drugs. I'm not who I saw myself as. That carries additional worries, negative beliefs, and negative experiences. You see some of them here, but actually I think I might stop share and see if I can get a whiteboard up and see if we can just sort of brainstorm about some things that put another load on the impact of shame that cause more shame. So here we got the whiteboard here. I'm going to share that. Yeah, so anybody have any, I'll put some text down here. So I think you saw job stressors. So worries about whether you're going to lose your job from the pain. Anything else, how pain can impact you and maybe cause a shame response?
I was thinking that if you can't find the reason why you have the pain, that makes something wrong with you, like you're crazy or.
Yes, yeah. So, the way the doctor or provider treats you, provider doubt, how about that? Or it's all in your head. Have you ever heard that? It's all in your head. Is that track your response? Is that capturing what you're trying to get across?
Yeah, I currently have a globus sensation in my throat and
yes,
called hysteria.
yes, yeah. So that's so interesting because that's a typical symptom that they treat a lot with acupuncture. That lump in your throat feeling, that is a standard symptom that's very, very recognized in Eastern medicine, but in Western medicine, not so much, huh? Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, and doctors can bring on a lot of some of this stress. How about just visiting the doctor? Does anybody get white coat syndrome other than me, and their high blood pressure goes up like crazy? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, to put white coat syndrome. Anything else?
I actually had like a nervous breakdown at my doctor's appointment like 2 weeks ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
My blood
Mm-hmm.
pressure was like 192 over 100. And, they were trying to put me on all these meds, and I was trying to tell her that I didn't. And I have the same thing going on in my throat. And it was so awful. And so now I have to go in for follow-ups every week because they think I'm crazy. And
Oh
it's like
gosh.
I can go home and be perfectly normal, but I'm trying to get some help here.
Right. And take my blood pressure at home and it's just fine.
Yeah, and
Yes.
sometimes it's elevated because it goes with the stress. So their
Yes.
answer,
Or with pain.
yes,
Actually,
with
pain
pain.
elevates your blood pressure as well.
Right,
I,
yeah. So
they're
yeah,
constantly trying to put me on blood pressure meds, and I won't do it because actually this is another stressor, the medication's side effects.
right. And I actually caved because my husband went with me, and they were like, at 192 over 100, you can have a stroke or you could have a heart attack, and stuff. And he was like all concerned and stuff. And so I started taking them last week, and I'm just like really angry with him right now, because it's like I told him, I feel like you just forced me to do something that I did not want to do. And now I feel like I'm putting poison in my body every day.
Yes,
And
yes.
so, but
I understand that feeling a lot, but then you also got to balance it and you make the
right,
best decision at the time,
yeah,
and then you keep monitoring it, right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah, but
So
it's
good for you. Yeah, good for
yeah.
you.
So yeah, that whole doctor thing really hits home because I just totally went off the deep end in the office, which didn't really support my case that I was normal.
Yes, right. And then they write down you're intractable or something, or I forget what that word is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something where you don't comply, non-compliant. That's it.
Right. Yeah. My body did not go along with my plan. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then have any of you ever had, since you're talking about doctor visits, have any of you ever had procedures that were uncomfortable? A procedure, I don't know, adverse effects.
Yeah.
Or is speaking of pelvic things, have
Oh.
anybody ever had that pelvic ultrasound? Talk about invasive.
Yeah. I've had that.
Yeah,
PNC and
Mm-hmm.
lots of those things.
yeah. Anything, so not to just stay on the doctors, although we could stay in there all day, but any other aspects of life that could add some shame to the pain that you feel? Any other way that pain affects you in your life that could cause shame?
For me, I feel like I have to be strong for my family. And so
Yes,
it affects my relationship because then I get a little snippy.
yes, exactly. Who doesn't get irritable with a little bit of pain? It's just hard to deal with it. And then it's so easy. And then you start to feel guilty because you snapped at your son, who's like the dearest person on earth to you. Have you had that? Yeah. Or family concerns. Am I pulling my weight? Am I, do I need to cook dinner and I can't because I'm just not up to it?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for that one.
It also sometimes makes me feel like I'm being lazy when I
Yes.
take care of myself.
Yeah. So what would you call that? Self-perception. I'm just going to call it.
It's almost like when guilt and shame hold hands together.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just put that. Guilt and shame hold hands.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about relationship concerns. Has anybody had that affects your sexuality? How much you want sex or what maybe it hurts you, or,
Mhm.
you know, and then you might feel guilty about that or shame about that. Anything else?
I think for a relationship, if there's, if there's any infidelity within the relationship, and then they're trying to rebuild that relationship, there's a lot of shame that can cause pain, um, with intimacy, or just this heaviness of the heart in trying to talk through and work through that shame with your partner.
Yes, yes, yeah. Let's just put the whole working through, through difficulties. And maybe taking on more than is your share, on more of the blame than you need to.
I kind of think of these little shame pockets. They're like these little effervescent bubbles that sort of work their way to the top of the glass and kind of, pop open. And sometimes they do that so unexpectedly. And I think for a lot of women who also have fibromyalgia, that those little shame pockets are just floating around in the body, creating these little pockets of pain.
Yes, yes, shame pockets. So speaking of having those other, I hate this word, comorbidities, but other things that you experience at the same time, which happens a lot. Does anybody, because it's been unexplained, start worrying that that something's really wrong with me?
Yeah, that's why I went to the doctor, because I felt like there was something really wrong with me. But it's like, because I have this unexplained pain in my finger, and it might just be arthritis, but I mean, it hurts so bad. And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they didn't address that. So,
Yes. And I don't know about you all, but for me, when somebody mentions a disease, first thing I go to is the worst case scenario.
that's what I did. I just
I
wanted
have
to,
cancer. I have ALS. My foot doesn't work right. I've got ALS. It's progressing.
yeah.
You know.
I wanted to make sure I didn't have Parkinson's or MS or
Yes.
something like that, and it wasn't even addressed. And
Yeah. 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 Good. General health worries. And then let's just add to that. Anybody have anything else to add with all of this? So it's quite a lot. You can see there's a lot on your plate here. I'm going to add to this one more thing, that when you're worried about all these things, maybe you don't, and you're experiencing pain, and you're not able to do the things you like, you have a loss of positive experiences that balance out some of these not so positive, some of these negative experiences. Yep. Okay, so we've got that, and that's captured here on the recording. I'm going to come out of this share now and go back and take a gander at you all right now to see how things are going. Any other comments or questions at this point?
Well, I just want to say that all of that whole list then becomes amplified when we add COVID-19 on top of it.
Oh, yes.
So
Oh, my
what we're
goodness.
experiencing in real time can be just so enormously overwhelming. So I just want to, just honor people for getting through this and acknowledging, so that transformation can happen.
Yes, yes, yes. Speaking it builds your resilience.
Yes.
Yeah. So great. Okay, we're gonna go on. And here we go. Okay, so here's some of the things we brought out. Our job stressors. Will I be able to keep my job? Family stressors. Can I support the family either financially or just by making dinner, or encouraging the kids to do their homework? We talked about the medical visits, the painful procedures, adverse medication effects. And what about the whole idea, just because you feel bad, you might get anxious, or you feel bad, it might affect your affect. It might bring you down. Lack of positive experiences. Oh yes. And lack of sleep. If you wake up from the pain, you don't get the sleep you need to restore. And guess what? That makes the pain worse. And then we talked about these adverse effects on sexuality and relationships. So it starts to create this positive feedback loop. It's a positive feedback loop with negative consequences. And shame is actually registered in the brain in the same place that strong physical pain is registered. So there's this feedback loop of you've got pain, you feel shame over it through the multitude of ways it affects your life, and then you get more pain. So dealing with that, identifying shame, we want to say that shame is not the same as humiliation. Okay, humiliation, you might feel humiliated, like somebody says, did you really mean to raise your voice? In that case, with humiliation, you know that you don't deserve to feel bad. With shame, you personalize it. You say, I do deserve to feel bad. With embarrassment, you don't feel utterly alone. Maybe you've got food stuck in your teeth, okay? But you're embarrassed, but you can clean that off. You know, other people get food stuck on their teeth. That's not something unique to you. With guilt, you may have done something bad, but you're not bad yourself. So I don't know if any of you have ever eaten a pint of ice cream and felt guilty about that. That's not quite the same as shame. So here we got some illustrations. Humiliation, you spill the milk. Well, I didn't mean to spill the milk over the table, you know, but I don't deserve to feel bad. Maybe someone yelled at me for spilling that milk, but I don't deserve to feel bad. Embarrassment, I'm embarrassed I fell over my kid's Lego toy or truck, but other people do that too. And then guilt, maybe I ate that whole cake and only left the cupcakes for my kids. I've done bad, but I'm not bad to the core. I wanted to show you a clip from a movie that I think is a really good portrayal about the shame that we feel with pain. It's called Cake. And hopefully this will just play from my slideshow. And if not, I've got another way of showing it to you. So I'm going to just show it to you right now. Here we go.
I made a list, and then I checked on the internet to see if they were different in Mexico.
This is a lot. You try to sedate the small city? I think you have big problems.
Perceptivo. How's it going? I'm doing really well.
I want you to verbalize to Nina how her suicide affected you.
She jumped off the freeway overpass, landed on a flatbed truck heading to Mexico. Her body got stuck in customs for like a week before Nina's husband could even claim it. Way to go, Nina.
Spread your legs a little bit wider.
Should we go on a date first?
Listen, you think I could come by and pick up the rest of my stuff? I think it's prudent if we don't see each other.
Nice night, huh? I came here for Nina's address.
I can't give you that information.
I actually brought you a really nice bottle of vodka.
What kind?
For Nina's Nina's husband. I'm not a stalker. I mean, not in the traditional sense.
You know, you just could have said you wanted to come over.
Yeah, but what's the fun in that? Oh, hey.
What are you doing? He doesn't even like you.
I know all about your accident. I can't save you. I could barely save myself and my kid.
I'm not asking you to.
Is Bennett, is a man outside?
Get off my property.
If I could switch places, I would. I wanted to tell you that.
That keeps moving. And please just retire. Make a wish.
Can't think of anything.
Doesn't matter. Just blow them out.
I am in a lot of pain.
Do you want to get better? Really?
Say it, Claire.
I do.
Okay, so I'm gonna come out of this and wondering if anybody had any reactions. Has anybody seen that movie, by the way? It's an awesome movie. I told Angela I never thought Jennifer Aniston was a good actress until I saw that movie, and I think she's a great actress. It's a wonderful movie. Any reactions to the trailer?
I think I just had a lot of empathy for her, what she was going through, and I felt her pain through that little clip.
Yeah, I've watched that clip maybe 3 times recently, trying to prepare for this. And this is the first time I haven't like broken down and choked up. But it captured a lot of the things we just talked about, you know, the doctor's visits, the problems with relationships, the medication interactions, how other people perceive you, how you perceive yourself. This is just a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, which is why I wanted to get it out in the open and build my own shame resilience by talking about pain. I'm gonna move on, okay, and we'll go back and talk some more. So here we go. There we go. So my question now, have you ever felt shame related to pain? And you all kind of did express that you did, but maybe some of these things are elaborating on it a little bit more. Maybe you haven't gotten enough done, you know, for yourself or for the family because of pain. Maybe you vented frustration about pain on an innocent person. You felt irritable. And maybe you've equated pain with feeling bad. Maybe it's a punishment from God. I felt like that about who you are at your core. So it says small group discussion questions, but we are a small group, so I'm not going to put you in breakout rooms. But let's just look at these 2 questions. Number 1, I want you to think about a time when a close friend has felt really bad about him, her, or their self, or is really struggling, and think about how you respond to your friend. And I want you to think about what you usually do, typically say, and note the tone in your voice or your mind of your voice. Think about that and make a little mental note about that, because we're going to talk about that when I stop the screen share. And then secondly, we're going to contrast that with thinking about times when you feel bad about yourself or you're struggling. And I want you to talk about what you usually do, say, and the mental tone that you use for yourself, how you talk to yourself. Okay, so I'm going to stop share and then we can just talk about those 2 questions. So you got that. The first case is, how do you respond to a friend who's struggling? And what types of things do you say to them? How do you feel? What's the tone in your voice?
Yeah, I'm always really kind, understanding, listen, and pump them up. But for myself, I'm very harsh.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you're alone with that. I think everybody is pretty much everybody else's cheerleader, but for yourself, you're so cruel.
Mhm.
I don't know anybody I'm as mean to as I am to myself. The things I say to myself, you're too old, you're too sick, you're not smart enough, you can't do this, you know. I don't know. Am I alone? I bet I'm not. Yeah.
I was just thinking, being a practitioner and, having these talks with people every day and really trying to strategize for them. And sometimes I'll be talking with a client and in the back of my mind, I'm like, dang, Angela, that's really good stuff. Why don't you do that for yourself?
So that's wonderful that you've got that awareness.
Oh.
So that's the first step when you catch that voice. So one thing I really don't want to happen is that you go, oh my goodness, I'm so mean to myself. I'm a horrible person. Right? Because then we just pile it on even more. It's, oh, how about that? I did that now. I caught it. Let's see if I can start to make a change. Okay. Or even if I can't make a change, just to catch it. That's the first step. Michelle, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say that my love language is touch. And so I usually will hold my friends' adrenals or hold their hand and do some active listening. And it might be kind of subtle. I usually don't self-deprecate too much, but as we were talking, I became aware that for my pain condition, I've always sought out deep tissue work, which I offer deep tissue. So, I know I see the value, but for me, maybe I should really consider just, even thinking about a kiss on the forehead might just be enough instead of going in there and stirring the pain back up all the time.
Yeah, awesome. So you could have that same curiosity that you have for your clients, for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? And actually, so those of you who are familiar with Brene Brown, I think one thing she says is that curiosity is not compatible with shame. When you start to get curious about how you are, you're in that exploratory mode. And it is also something that takes you a little bit out of the pain response itself. It may damp down the pain just to have that exploratory, wow, how do I react if I just tap on my body? How do I react if every time I wash my hands for COVID, I do it with loving kindness? And I send that love that's in my heart down into my hands to myself, come back to myself.
So Marian, with that in mind, what is this? Is there an interplay or a relationship between shame and pain in the body and the ego?
Shame and pain in the ego. Yes, I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
And actually that is, I work with that by doing the inquiry process most often, or doing hypnosis. And I can talk more about that later. But if you just inquire to some of those things that you just take as true, like, I'm hurting, it's my fault that I'm hurting. Is it true? Is that really true? How does that affect me? And you can see, how does that affect, what do I feel like in my body when I say that thought to myself? What other thoughts come up? What other emotions come up? And just follow that out with that curiosity to its logical conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking in relationship to shame and pain, and when we're more playful and more curious, which seems to help work us out of the pain shame cycle, then our ego is sort of like, oh, this isn't really serious. She's just, I don't have to control this or, do any workarounds with her. It's okay. She's being playful and curious. I don't need to be involved. So I find that real interesting.
I find that interesting too. And I actually have to admit, I'm not really sure what is ego in me. It's a part of myself that has strong opinions, but when I really look into that, I can see other parts that have other agendas as well. And hopefully I can see the kinder part of myself, the part that might go, there, honey. They might not have all the answers, but what we do for our friend, there. Oh yeah. That might help me a little bit more. And I get out of what that ego is or what that small self is to something that is more kind to myself. What would be a kinder way of treating myself?
I think what happened with me, just to play on that just a smidge, but I definitely felt like when the pain happened that I fractured in a way, and that I was not the same person who came out of the pain as I was that went into it. And so I guess that could be that my ego ceased to exist in the same way that it did before.
Yeah. And I actually don't think it's a bad place to not know certain things. Some of the things I think I know are things that can be hurtful when I look at it. So then if I can, sometimes when I'm in the place of not knowing certain things, then I'm curious about, well, how is it really for me? I'm open to whatever this new thing is. And maybe we can, I don't know, but maybe we can do that with COVID too. I don't mean to be Pollyanna-ish about this, but we have quite an opportunity for introspection and looking deep. And I don't really know what we're going to find. I don't know what we're going to find, but I have to say, when I have looked inside myself, I've found more strength, more courage, and kinder Marian than the one who just comes in without thinking. I do know that. I'm gonna move on. I've got a little bit more to go with us. So here we go. I am, how would you treat a friend? And thank you all so much for your clarity and your vulnerability and your honesty in talking about that with me. So that really gives us a key for escaping the pain shame spiral, that treating yourself as a friend. So here are some tips from Brene Brown herself. Number one, just notice when the shame is up. Oh, I see you, shame. Doesn't mean you have to, it's there. I see you. Okay. And ways to build your awareness before it pops up and just tackles you like that gremlin. I bet most of you meditate or do something along that line. Qigong is a moving meditation for me. I really enjoy that. Or yoga can be like that, or Tai Chi, or ongoing support like you have with Angela in your support group, but also including counseling and journaling, and just sharing with someone else. Shame is something that people hold inside and they just think they're the only ones in the world who have this. There's something wrong with me. I'm so different from everybody else. If you tell someone, it diffuses its power. It also invariably they're going to say, oh my goodness, I feel like that too. So you recognize that you're not alone. You also recognize that you're human, doing the best you can. And as we said before, treat yourself like a friend, with curiosity, with kindness, with not saying bad things to yourself. Using the Byron Katie work or an interactive hypnosis session, or with other people in a group like you have with Angela, you can investigate your proof that you should feel bad and inquire into what could be kinder and more true. Okay, so that's what I've got. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to that list of strategies for dealing with pain and shame and the whole spiral?
I think self-care is so important. When we do recognize that something's coming up, is just really to tend to ourselves. And in my work, just in the acknowledgement of things and working with the oils and using that energetic vibration of the oils to help soothe and smooth, or dissolve and resolve, or just bring up into the present so we can face it.
Yeah, and to go right into the limbic system with your memories. To some of you talked before, I'm not the person I was before. It kind of made a new person out of me. Well, you can sort of begin to soften those memories, or soften those shifts with smells and with touch.
Yes,
and so much of it, and we can all touch ourselves. We might not be able to touch other people, but we can touch ourselves.
Yes, self-massage every day is so good. Just honoring your body for where it is and what it's doing and what it can do for you today. One oil that I really would like to share with the group today as one of those self-care, I talked a little bit about on my Facebook Live this morning, was neroli. And neroli is often thought of as angelic incarnate. So bringing some energy from the divine to help you. But what it does is it gently opens perspective and invites divine energy alignment. So it's going to align those energies, and it begins to, in the beginning we talked about shame as being sort of this sludge. I think you called it mud, like those muddy, sticky feelings. So what neroli does is it begins to dislodge these energetic sludges that are born out of guilt and shame cycles. And it's such a beautiful oil to be able to do that. And I like to have it on the ear shenmen. So that's that first deep valley in the top shelf of your ear, and just placing a drop of diluted neroli oil and just holding it in that point and feeling that angelic support from the divine to help you through that sludge of guilt and shame cycles.
That's wonderful. Would this be a good time for me to share some ways that I help people with shame and pain?
Absolutely. Share your email information, website, books, whatever support you would like to send people to, Marian.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go back to the screen. This is my website. If you click on that, you'll get to see just about everything I offer, including my books. But on the website, you'll see, so pretty much I've shut down my touch that I do, but I still do a lot via Zoom. I offer Qigong and yoga classes, which you can take through Zoom. These are ways of doing self-massage and self-movement that are deeply freeing and pain reducing. I think I mentioned that one of the ways I was able to reduce my use of medication was through Qigong classes. I just did it faithfully every day. And so I offer once a week Qigong classes on Mondays, once a week yoga classes on Fridays. You can come to one class and never again. You can just take a trial of it, and it's $10 to $15 per class. You pay by PayPal if you're interested. You can just test it out and see if that's something interesting for you. I also do foam rolling coaching, which is a way to do massage for yourself. It's like a myofascial massage. I have to stress, if you're going to do foam rolling, do not get the hard rollers. You need to get a specific soft roller. And if you contact me through my website or through my email, I'll put my email in the chat. I will tell you, basically it is OTPT, soft roller you want to get. Do not get the hard rollers. They will hurt you. They will be too hard. Okay, and I can lead you through one-on-one coaching in foam rolling to give you a different way to get self-massage that feels good on your whole body and feels good to yourself. You don't even feel like you're doing it for yourself. I can also guide you through one-on-one movement re-education or massage techniques, including lymphatic techniques or craniosacral techniques. Those are what I usually teach, and myofascial techniques, what I teach at Oregon School of Massage when it's not COVID. I do those Byron Katie inquiry sessions. Those are phone sessions, and I can just talk you through a series of questions to help you see what could be kinder. And really inquire into what is your proof of shame. So you like drive a little crack into some of those things. What are its origins, how it affects you mentally, emotionally, physically. What are the payoffs, and how are those payoffs working? So you're probably familiar with Dr. Phil. He has this question he always asks, and how's that working for you? I ask that about the payoffs. Often you'll find that those payoffs aren't really working for you. And most importantly, who would you be without those thoughts of shame you're carrying? You can get a sense of the freedom, that I don't know-ness, and then find out what could be truer for you. We can also use hypnotic journeys. So the hypnosis that I use works with your subconscious to help you relieve anxiety, improve relationships, create healthier relationships with food, remove blocks to creativity and prosperity, and reduce stress, pain, fear, and anger. Interactive hypnosis is nothing like making you quack like a duck or talk like a chicken. It is, you talk to me, and I watch you through the Zoom session just so I can see your grimaces or facial expressions and try to follow those. And really, it's more like a journey where you find your allies. I know the ways to bolster your allies, to anchor in the supportive things that you find for yourself, and to keep those as things you can come back to if something disturbing comes up for you again. So that's what an interactive hypnosis session is like. And if you're curious about that, you can contact me through my website. And I always like you to talk to me by phone first to see if that's right for you. So we can schedule a time where we can just see if that's something that's important for you. So basically, my website is the key for everything, and it's my name. And I'm gonna just put that in the chat right here, right now.
These your website will be included in the follow-up email that everyone's going to get with the link to the entire recording on my YouTube channel. So you'll get that if you want to watch it again, or if you'd like to share it with someone else as well.
Great. So thank you so much. And I've also included my email that you could just contact me directly with that. And we can, although you can get to my email through my website too, but I put both of those in the chat.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, is there any other questions from anyone or comments? Thank you, Marian. This has been a wonderful time together and so rich with information and sharing from everyone. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for hosting me, Angela, and thank you, Michelle and Kitty, for participating, and whoever's out there in Zoom and Facebook land. I don't even know how that stuff works. Angela is so much more an expert about technology than I am. I feel shame. I'm gonna have to work on my shame over technology.
We're all in this together, right?
Yeah.
We're learning from each other. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks for anybody else who's been on here, anybody who catches it on the Facebook Live, and I'll be posting links to the YouTube. So I'm so happy for all of you. Let's work through all of this together and grow, be stronger, be better for our families, for ourselves, for our communities, and for the bigger world at large. So good night, everyone.
Can I say one more thing? I just remembered, I forgot. I do teach some Zoom classes through OSM, and I actually am teaching some Qigong classes next semester. And I'm also teaching a foam rolling class through them next semester too. So that might be another way that you get a longer period of time with me, and it might be less expensive. And I'm also going to teach one class on working with patients with chronic pain as a CE. All of those are CE classes that I'm offering next semester through the Oregon School of Massage website. So I guess you all are probably familiar with that, but I'll just put that in the chat too. There you go. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Angela.
everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.